Geography now, Switzerland. 33 minutes. Mashallah, Alter.
Alright, we have now reached Switzerland. Alps, cheese, neutrality, banks. Well, Switzerland didn't start off that way. It was basically a bunch of mountain folk that built an entire economy off of what are essentially European ninjas. And now if shit goes down, they have a bunch of bunkers they can hide in case of nuclear war happens. But we'll get into that later. In the meantime, here's the...
He's working out, man. Look at these muscles, man. That guy is working out, boys. It's time to learn geography.
Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. Get your Geography Now merch at geographynow.com.
Get the merch, boys. TommyKay merch. Still not
Switzerland,
restocked.
the crossroads of the Germanic and Latin worlds, known as the Confederation Helvetica, despite not...
Ah, that's why CH. Ah, I already learned something. Look at that.
Named after the Helveti tribe, which were actually Celtic.
We should hang out sometime.
That were mostly wiped out and driven away by the Latins and Germanic peoples.
Oh, well, okay.
But anyway, so I actually promised my Swiss friend Herman that he could be in this episode with me. And I wanted to fly him out here to Los Angeles to cook.
Man, this guy, Barbie is his name, right? He's traveling really a lot, man. Very cool life he's leading.
Unfortunately, at the time of filming this episode, the US had restrictions on Europeans entering our country, and the actual date of acceptance for Europeans to enter would take way too long. So I decided if I can't fly him out here, why don't I just fly out there and make a makeshift Geography Now studio set and have him in the episode. Here I go!
That's what we call rich people. He just flies to Switzerland and makes a studio there. Oh, beautiful. Man, this guy's traveling so much. It's really cool.
Oh,
you got an
and
Airbnb,
guys, say hi to Mr. Herman.
Hello, nice to meet you.
He even drives in neutral.
Again, I'm super short, so I gotta step on a box. What does it mean
I don't know much about Switzerland, but the flag is a big plus.
to you, Herman, to be Swiss?
There's of course the whole cheese and chocolate thing. For me, to be
They
honest,
have crazy chocolate, man. There's a Swiss chocolate store in my city, and that chocolate is so expensive. So fucking expensive, but it's so good.
Nice
I showed it on stream, the plates, you guys remember?
Safe, stable, and it has been like this for a long time.
By the way, guys, this is the guy that was in my heritage trip video. This is my Swiss go-to guy. You're an expert on Switzerland, right?
Sure.
All right, and with that, let's move on.
Sure.
Let's find Switzerland on the map, shall we?
I wonder how many Americans cannot tell you where Switzerland is, man.
Kind of a unique place in Europe.
What about you
mostly
today,
because of the way
your
how it
mom?
was formed.
You see, most countries had a king, but Switzerland didn't. It was just a bunch of annoyed mountain folk who didn't want to align with any king and became independent.
Now, there's a lot of disagreement on exactly how Switzerland was formed. Some people say maybe it was the medieval times. Some people say it was the more modern Napoleonic Wars.
So technically, the earliest form of Switzerland was after the Rütlischwur, Uri-Schwyz.
The Rütlischwur, alliance of Uri-Schwyz and Unterschwalden.
Unterwalden agreed
Unterwalden.
to have an alliance.
It was basically like,
Hey, Schwyz, how's it going?
Hey man, this army just came in and attacked me for no reason.
Me too.
Are we talking about the armies coming through without our permission?
Yes! Oh my god, so
annoying.
annoying.
You know what we should do? We should form a
A confederation.
confederation.
A
yes.
confederation.
Let's do it.
Like, let's form a confederation.
then later,
The guy on the right did a good job there, man.
it was like,
Hey, can we join, please?
Can I join too?
Just like,
I don't speak the language, but we'd like to join.
This gives me an idea. Maybe I should expand.
the point is, Switzerland started to grow.
These guys are
Today
doing a
you
good
have the
job.
Switzerland you see before you, locked away safely in the Alps.
Let's go to the map now, shall we?
First of all, Switzerland is a landlocked nation located at the convergence point of Western, Central, and Southern Europe, surrounded by 5 countries. Remember, don't forget little Liechtenstein. The country is a federal republic made up of 26 cantons, each with their own unique...
Grindelwald. That's like Harry Potter shit. Sion. Yeah, everything's French here. This is Italian. Ah, interesting. St. Moritz. Very beautiful shit, man. A lot of these cities are so fucking beautiful, man. Solotum Jura.
unique flag and coat of arms. However, keep in mind, 6 of these cantons are considered traditional half-cantons. In order to maintain a somewhat decentralized government system that keeps...
Altdorf. Dude, they have Altdorf from Warhammer 40K, Warhammer Fantasy, dude.
Switzerland has no official capital. Bern is considered the de facto capital, as it holds the House of Parliament and other federal authorities. The country's largest city, though, would be Zurich, located in the northeastern part of the country.
Zurich is so fucking beautiful and rich people, man.
Zurich International. And from there, the next largest cities are Geneva and Basel, which also carry respectively the 2nd and 3rd busiest airports as well. In fact,
when we in Sweden went to school, we got forced to learn either French, Spanish, or German. Did you have the same, but like Spanish? In Germany, we have to learn English. everybody has to learn English, and then you can choose a second language, which is mostly French or Spanish. A lot of Russian immigrants did Russian.
About 75% of the
It was so
population.
unfair, man. All the Russian immigrants, there's so many Russians where I live, right? 20% of my school was Russians, and they all got A+ in Russian. So unfair, man.
Lives in the
They
North
really
Swiss
improved their final
plateau,
marks
even though
because
it only makes
they
up
were
about
Russians.
30% of the land's surface.
So unfair,
Speaking
man.
of which, the only ambiguous dispute they have is with Germany and Austria over the Bodensee, or Lake Constance. The three countries have never formally established borders, and they kind of just don't say anything. In any case, Switzerland also has some other unique border anomalies. For one, by Schaffhausen, Switzerland tried to grab as
I know they have some issues with Italy sometimes. I read this article years ago where Switzerland, like, because of global warming, certain glaciers here are melting and making land. And Italy and Switzerland are talking about who that new land belongs
much
to.
land as they
It's
could
very
north of the
interesting
Rhine
stuff.
River, leaving a unique layout of territory grabs that jut into Germany, and it even leaves one exclave of Germany entirely within Switzerland.
Wait, what? That's German? Büsingen am Hochrhein. German inside Switzerland. I never knew that. Büsingen is probably very beautiful. Yeah, this area is so fucking beautiful, man. You have to be very rich to live down here, man, but it's beautiful. Look at this shit, man.
You have the Campione d'Italia, which is basically
Campione
one big
d'Italia.
casino resort. It is an exclave of
bene.
Italy, completely engulfed with Switzerland, only about a half mile or less than 1 kilometer over
If you
a
are born
hill
in Switzerland,
away
you win
from
the lottery
Italy.
of life.
Finally, if you
Same
go
as
up to
Scandinavia.
Basel, you
Kinda
have some
true.
very weird skinny land salients that jut into France for no logical reason, like this one by the town of Rieti, which at its narrowest choke point is less than 230
So awkward.
feet or 70 meters wide. Transport in Switzerland is top-notch though. Well-paved highways, tunnels, and train networks connect every region of Switzerland. The biggest and most proud engineering project that the country has ever gone through, though, would probably be the Gotthard
Tunnel.
Tunnel.
Gotthard
It is the
Tunnel.
longest
I
rail
drove through
tunnel
that, man.
and deepest traffic tunnel in the world.
That's like the main thing of a non-European going to the south, Italy. If a German drives to Italy, it's called the Brennerrow, which is a legendary highway that goes... wait, that's actually... That's not true, that's in Austria. I'm fucking lying right now. That's not true. I'm talking about something different. Yeah, this is here, but I'm talking about here. Right here is der Brenner, which is the main line to get into Italy. Yeah, I'm actually talking shit here.
Effectively cutting through the Alps.
Always
connecting
traffic
the
jams here,
canton of
always, man,
Uri with
especially in,
Ticino. This tunnel has heavily
holiday
bolstered
times.
the efficiency of Switzerland's freight and passenger transport, as about 11,000 people and about 70,000 tons of cargo are able to swiftly pass
Ban the
by
stream.
daily.
Fun
Like,
fact, because of
sell
Herman, me and my mom actually got to go see Liechtenstein. He drove us all the way from Zurich, all the way through Liechtenstein in Austria.
This guy's
We
really
ended up in
trying the
Lindau,
world. Very,
Germany,
very,
where
very
we
cool,
met the
actually,
worst
dude.
waiter ever
That's
at
what
the
happens when you
casino
don't have
restaurant.
I remember this guy was horrible.
baby.
In Switzerland, public transport is really good.
Very nice.
Almost anywhere by train. That's the Jungfrau-Joch-Bahn, which
wow.
brings you above 3,500 meters.
Beautiful.
But that's kind of like more of a touristy thing, right?
Yeah, that's a tour. I've never been there.
Speaking of trains, you said something about like they donate the old ones, right?
Yeah, actually trams. The trams of Zurich are going to Ukraine, and the trams from Basel are going to Belgrade.
The
They might not go to Ukraine anymore, guys.
interesting thing is that historically, some places
I
that
live
are
500
actually
meters away from
outside of
Liechtenstein.
modern-day
Funny
Switzerland
fact.
used
That's
to be
very funny,
protectorates or associates of Switzerland.
They are Mulhouse, which lies in today's France, Rottweil in Germany, Valtellina and Bormio, which today lie.
Dude, Christmas must be so
Even though
beautiful
the
in these
Austrian
villages,
state of
man.
Vorarlberg
Like
once
white
voted
Christmas
to
there.
become part of Switzerland in World War I. We decided to better not take them in.
Oh, that's
You
Vorarlberg.
rejected
We're actually
them.
taking that
Now,
in
another
my
thing about Switzerland you have to understand is that they kind of have like two imaginary lines based off of the cultural regions. You can explain. What are they, Herman?
Well, there's the Röstigraben, separating the French-speaking part of Switzerland from the German. And then there's the Polentagraben, which is between the German part and the south, which speaks Italian.
Basically, one side drinks beer, the other wine. Due to their history of constantly being invaded or outside forces threatening or just generally bothering them, the Swiss have developed a culture of, let's just kind of call it heavy defensive caution.
We are neutral, but we still are prepared to defend ourselves to make it as expensive as possible for anybody to attack us.
This is why, should the event ever occur, the country is
He's so... Even his character's so neutral. He's like... He's... Right? I don't want to shit on him, but he's such a neutral character,
loaded
man.
with copious amounts of bunkers everywhere. Like, it's actually a law, all living units have to have a bunker or something like that, right? Yeah.
We have a lot of hidden bunkers, and if you go hiking, you will just see
Well, if
them. but
Putin
they're
drops the
nowhere on
nukes,
map.
Switzerland is
There's
going
no
to be the big
exact
winner,
number on
man.
how many are built, but apparently they can protect the entire population plus more, right? In any case, Switzerland has so many notable cool sites to see and visit. We actually filmed this part before I could audition anybody to do it, so I'll just fill this in with a dubbed voiceover. Here's
Alex. Hey guys, I'm Alex. I'm from Geneva, Switzerland, although I'm currently in Mexico. Here's a few things you should absolutely check out if you ever make it to Switzerland.
I don't want to sound insensitive of him, but when I see this guy, I would never think he's from Switzerland. That's the last thing I would think.
The Fountain, the Cathedral Saint-Pierre, Palais des Nations, which is home of the United Nations, and the CERN hydrogen.
But I think Switzerland's very diverse.
Check out the Château de Chillon, the Oberhof,
in their genetics,
Valais and Tourbillon, Château de Gruyère, Bunhausen, which is basically a capital.
Das Bundeshaus.
Check out the Bear Park, Kinderfressenbrunnen.
Kinderfressenbrunnen. This means the statue that eats children. It's eating children.
Statue, Lauterbrunnen, that has.
Oh, Alter, look at that.
Check out the Bear Park.
Dude, Switzerland is so beautiful. Look at this.
Statue, Lauterbrunnen.
Alter, was ist das denn? Lauterbrunnen.
Yeah, 347 ski resorts covering a distance of 4,500 miles. Zermatt, Saas-Fee, Samoritz, and my personal favorite, Verbier. For more Mediterranean feels, check out the Old Town Piazzas and
look how beautiful the shit is, eh?
Lugano, down in the south of Switzerland. Switzerland also has a
they don't have ghettos there
and amusement parks. So for that, check out Aqua Park, Coneyland, Swiss Vapor Park, and the Geiger Museum, which is absolutely amazing. And if you're looking for an adrenaline rush, check out the mountain coast.
Oh, that was so cool, dude.
As well as the Stoßbahn funicular, which is the steepest funicular in the world. But yeah, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
It's kind of cute how he always uses people to help him, man. It's kind of nice of him.
You're always going underground for whatever reason.
Yeah, if you have a mountain in between two places, what are you gonna do?
Which is actually the perfect transition into the next segment.
Now, of course, you cannot talk about Switzerland without talking about the mountains and nature.
Literally, the moment you say Switzerland,
it's his community he's using, and they probably don't. He probably doesn't pay them. Yeah.
With cowbells, and even the iconic Matterhorn probably comes out. 12 people a year usually die on it.
12 people on average die on it.
Yeah,
wow.
It's still very beautiful.
How many people die on average on Mount Everest, though? I wonder.
It's a challenge. So
that
let's
seems
go
a lot.
to the map and break down Switzerland's land makeup.
Now, despite Switzerland being famous for the Alps and being the most mountainous country in Europe, the actual Alps only make up about 60% of the country. The remainder of the country is made up of two other geographic zones, the Swiss, or Central Plateau, which is the lowest part of the country.
Well, 1 in 5 expeditions, but I want answer my question. Can anyone do that? How many people die on average a year on Mount Everest?
In the Alps, you can find the famous, incredibly difficult to climb Matterhorn, just a few miles away, is not the tallest.
Apparently, I mean, that looks very difficult to climb. How the fuck do you get up there, man?
It's really cool, that's all. Just a skip away,
how do you even get up
the
there,
Aletsch
dude?
Glacier, the largest glacier in the Alps, and it is a UNESCO heritage site. From the ice melt of
right
the
now.
Alps, of course, you get the source of all the rivers that feed Switzerland, including the longest
they
river,
will never
the
have water
Rhine,
problems in
which shares
Switzerland,
borders
dude.
with its neighbors. These rivers also feed into the world-renowned lakes of Switzerland, the largest one being Lake Geneva.
They have a lot of water for hundreds of years, man. The water crisis will not fuck with them.
They hooked around the end with Geneva and got most of it when splitting it with France. Nonetheless, the largest lake fully in Switzerland is Neuchâtel, not to be confused with Neuchâtel in Normandy, France, which is where the soft cheese comes from.
Yeah, and those highlights don't even cover a fraction of all the cool nature stuff in Switzerland.
You can hike, then at the end you arrive at the lake.
Oh, beautiful.
Is it like fresh enough for you to drink from, or no?
Yeah.
You could maybe, but the guy might have peed in it 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Well, Switzerland sure.
What are you? You're Switzerland. You're Swiss, man. You have to say you can drink from it. The lakes are so fucking clean in this area. What is he talking about? The fuck's he talking about? Okay, let me just check everything.
It's beautiful, but when it comes to natural resources, we're actually not so rich. We don't really have any. Much of our economy is actually based on industry and services.
To explain a little bit more about the economy and industrial output, here's Noah to explain.
All right, let's get to it. We all know high-end things like luxury Swiss watches and Swiss knives are made
it's only for showing off.
Which are, by the way...
Also, I could never wear a watch because I would always feel like having a foreign invader body on my... I cannot have a watch because I always feel the watch. I can never put it away in my brain, and I'm not free, you know. I don't get that.
$multi-billion-dollar industry. By the way, if you're looking for a backpack, Swiss gear is amazing. I've had one of those backpacks for probably over a decade. Great stuff.
Good backpacks, man.
But the one industry that everyone takes focus on,
I kind of feel that.
Makes up about 15% of their economy, is the Swiss banking system. Home to two world-renowned companies, UBS and Credit Suisse. Credit Suisse being founded by Alfred Escher. Look him up. The appeal is that Swiss banks offer an insane amount of privacy and confidence. To explain more about the
Do you guys hear fighting in the background?
Swiss geography Simon.
Good day, miteinander. Hello, I am Simon and I'm actually from Switzerland.
What part of Switzerland?
Bodensee.
Whoa!
See, back in 1713, Switzerland's Great Council decided they would outlaw the financial disclosure to Europe's financial elites. In addition, all forms of bribery were pretty much criminalized. Since 1934, it was made criminal to disclose the identity of any account holders, as long as they didn't have any extreme felony charges. Even though the interest rates are really low, sometimes the rate is even negative, which means you have to pay to hold Swiss francs or to open an account. Nonetheless, our rate of investments are pretty high, like at 2.5%, due to the regular stability of the Swiss economy. Granted,
That's a true Swiss guy, man.
As there have been many lawsuits brought against our beautiful banks, such as the 1996 Holocaust victim class action lawsuit, which claimed that Swiss banks knowingly concealed assets illegally acquired by the Nazis. Then again, in 2009, the US strong-armed Switzerland into, disclosing wealthy assets from 50,000 Americans. It worked, but now, Swiss banks don't accept any Americans. Swiss people who move to America or who make a vacation in Florida. If you'd like to open an account, just contact me on Instagram and it will be totally confidential. Thank you very much. Adieu miteinander. Au revoir.
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, with great banks comes great liabilities. But of course, Switzerland is more than just banks. They have thriving pharmaceutical, tech, and tourism sectors. The palate is getting dry.
Is that a Swiss bottle too?
That'd be pretty cool if it was. They take their agriculture industry very seriously. The government actually subsidizes 70% of farms. I mean, how can you say no to the wonderful dairy provided by Swiss cows? To explain more about the animal situation, here is
Swiss milk, Swiss cheese.
Hey guys, Caleb's actually busy. He couldn't do this segment, but we got Ian. So you're gonna be Gary Harlow today. You're probably gonna mess it up, but I don't care. Yay.
I'm a screw up for sure. Switzerland, being the alpine nation it is, provides quite a habitat for all kinds.
It's funny how he talks, because when I was at ParadoxCon and I met some of my viewers who are Americans, they literally talk like this.
That's a strange
Straight up, they talk like this.
The country has 18 official nature parks. Now, in these mountains, you have quite a many of mountain-adapted ungulates. Much noted are the ibex and the chamois. Thanks to their two-toed hooves, these little guys latch on to the narrowest of walls. And this makes you think, are they brave
that they can
or
do
are they
that, these
just
goats?
stupid?
Sick,
I ask myself that a lot. Unfortunately, most of the predators, like the gray wolf and the Eurasian lynx, are incredibly rare. Brown bears were actually hunted to extinction in 1904. Now, one species of predator that does thrive in Switzerland is the European asp. It's a viper, and it's well adapted to the high altitude. Now, the bite's extremely painful. Now, unlike most countries, Switzerland doesn't have a national animal. But if you ask around, you might find out that the unofficial Swiss animal is the iconic Swiss cow. Even though they're not naturally from these here mountains.
Food! Now, I love
Swiss food. Swiss food. I mean, everybody knows Swiss chocolate, but that's about it. What the fuck do they eat there? Some cheese,
Hello,
yeah, cheese.
We are Mara and Terence, and today we are going to talk about Swiss
Look at Swiss people, they're so neutral like their country.
food.
We have to talk about cheese, of course. Thousands of varieties of them.
Probably also know the popular dishes, fondue and raclette.
Käseknöpfle,
Rösti, which is like a
raclette.
hash brown, Alpenmakrone, Zürichschnätzle. Probably also know
I
the
want to see all
popular
that.
dishes, fondue.
You know what? I'm gonna say it, man. I'm gonna trigger so many fucking viewers. I think raclette and fondue are super fucking overrated. It's just molten cheese, okay? If you wait 5 seconds too long, it gets cold and it gets soggy and disgusting. It is so overrated, bro. It is so overrated. You just put cheese over everything and act like it's a fucking delicatesse.
Raclette, Rösti.
Rösti? Was ist ein Rösti? Is this potato? Anyone know? Isn't Rösti potato? Like it's just like a really weird type of potato. Yeah, it is. Oh, that's also disgusting. That's just potato, made a bit less boring.
Which is like a hash brown, Alpenmakrone.
That is the shit. That right here, man, Käsespätzle. That is. If you ever come to Austria, Switzerland, South Germany, you gotta eat this, man. This shit is heaven on earth. Züricher Geschnetzels. Yeah, that's good. That's good shit. That's very. I'm actually very good at making this. I make this a lot in real life. I'm a very bad cook, but this I can do.
It's Berner Platte.
Berner Platte. Oh, looks also boring. Puppet. What the fuck is that? Oh, that looks disgusting. Looks like something a German dad would eat, man. Malakoff de Winsel. Oh, that looks good. Like fried shit with cheese in it. Bircher Müsli. Oh, we have that everywhere. They sell that everywhere around the corner here.
And desserts, Basler Leckerli, Bündner Nusstorte, Zuckerkirschtorte,
Vermicelle.
and of course, chocolate.
Yeah, the chocolate is fucking insane. Toblerone are obviously very famous. There's a fancy store in Leipzig that I always go to, so, like once a month, and get chocolate plates, and they're so expensive, Alter.
Yeah, although we don't have cocoa trees here.
We also invented absinthe,
which is a super strong alcohol.
kitchen, mochi, and automat.
Maggi is from Maggi and Knorr is from Switzerland. I didn't know that.
And like a mini automat.
I did not know that.
In a Swiss person's hiking backpack.
That's it.
And I gotta try some of those desserts you mentioned. All right, Barbs, back to you.
Thank you, Noah.
Also, fun fact, because Switzerland is so expensive, we actually like to go shopping in other countries, just because it's cheaper. There are some laws what you can bring back, like 1 kilogram of meat, 5 liters of wine.
Clever, because Switzerland wants them to use their money locally.
They actually check at the border when you drive through?
Yes.
But I mean, you guys do have good stuff. I mean,
That's not true. They check like 1 out of 100. That's not true.
Well known for your cheese and chocolate.
We put it on everything. You bake something in the oven, put
They
some
actually
cheese
do
on
every
it.
single
You're
one?
having
No
sushi,
way, I
why
don't
not put some
believe that.
raclette? Yeah, food always brings people together.
Except for
Same
that
for
one time we
Norway.
made out with that
They don't have the logistics to do every
4
one.
years
Come
later
on.
and you're still traumatized.
Yes, I'm still pissed off. Anyway, let's move on.
Stop spending
Switzerland,
PP,
as we
Tommy.
already explained, has a lot of cantons. And there's actually kind of a word you guys have in Switzerland. Explain, Herman.
It's Eidgenossenschaft.
What does it mean?
An oath alliance came along and formed a nation, except for Ticino, which we conquered.
Despite the fact that each of the region kind of has their own canton cultural difference, at the end of the day, they are all Swiss. Here's how you break down the populace.
First of all, the country has about 8.5 million people and often ranks in the top 3 global competitive markets and human development index scores on Earth. Ethnically speaking, things get a little complicated because Swiss censuses only take in data from factors like citizenship and place of birth. So the specific details can be a little vague, but in the broadest sense, it will say that about 75% of the country are Swiss nationals and the remaining 25%.
I remember when my dad was younger and he was a worker, you know, he was a roofer. The one thing I always remember his friends and his colleagues saying is the biggest jackpot for a German worker, like handyman, roofer, plumber, builder, whatever the fuck, is to get a job in Switzerland. Because they pay you so much fucking money and then you come back to Germany and you're rich. It's like a Polish guy in Germany, right? You make money in rich country, go back home, and the money you made in that country makes you very, very fortunate in your home country.
5% are resident
Like my dad wanted to always get a job in Switzerland.
Proportions in the developed world. From here, things get a little overlappy because within both groups, everything breaks down linguistically as well. Often, Switzerland will refer to their linguistic groups for data rather than ethnic. In which case, about 63% of the country are
work in Switzerland. Cherish, you're like 16. What do you work for in Switzerland?
French-speaking, and
the
somewhere
local
around 8 to
autistic
9% are primarily Italian-speaking. Finally, less than 1% are Romansh-speaking. Keep in mind, this data can apply to anyone from anywhere that claims these languages as primaries, regardless of their ethnic background. What we do know, though, 25% foreign residents, about 64% of them are from the EU or EFTA countries, the largest being Italians, followed by Germans, and Portuguese, and French. There's a sizable Kosovar Albanian communities, and of the Asian community, Sri Lankans, mostly of Tamil descent, make up the largest demographic.
The Swiss franc is our currency, and we drive on the right side of the road.
And you guys use the J plug outlet, which I hate because there's like an inward diamond-shaped divot, and my C plug adapters don't fit. Why do you guys are trying to do everything to be different from the rest of Europe? It's so weird.
Well, sometimes you introduce a standard before the rest of Europe, and then it's too late. In Switzerland, the dishwashers used to be 55 centimeters, and then Europe introduced a new standard of 60 centimeters. But the problem is, it costs more to manufacture in a special size, so our dishwashers cost 3 times as much. Yay!
Anyway, Switzerland has 4 official languages.
Just get a
Swiss
wife.
German, Swiss French, Swiss Italian, and Romansh. Even though less than 1% of the country speaks it, it's still an official language, mostly related to vulgar Latin, which was spoken in the Roman Empire. And,
I'm actually betting a lot of New Year's, right? But I feel like
most of us know 3 languages somehow.
What is the difference between Swiss German and Hochdeutsch spoken in Germany?
the difference is that Hochdeutsch is real German and normal German, and Schweizerdeutsch is fucking bullshit, man. It's like you take a hammer and punch your tongue for 24 hours, and then you speak German. That's Schweizerdeutsch. Thank you, Dark Osiris.
The Swiss German is a very strong dialect. We have dropped, for example, the simple past tense, and the Germans don't really understand us.
Don't even get started with French Swiss as well. Although I do like how they use the 90 and 80 and 70 and 40.
Counting in Danish is even funnier. Dude, counting in French is the weirdest thing ever, man. I will never understand that in school. To speak Austrian, you have to stick a dildo up your ass. That's actually kind of true. Hallo, mein Name ist Tom. Und ich komme aus Deutschland. And then you put a dildo up your ass, you're, oh, Ja, ich bin der Tommy und ich komme aus Österreich. Ja, wunderbar. Actually true, bro. Actually, kinda true. No offense.
And don't even get started with Ticino
Quattro
Italian. In fact, you know what?
39.
Matteo can explain it.
Here you go. This guy can explain.
So
What the fuck? This dude is turbo Italian. What the fuck?
Swiss sounds very much like northern Lombardy. You can't tell if he's a...
Dude, this guy has killed 10 people in the streets of fucking Palermo, man. Look at that, man. He's like, who's gonna shoot me next? And this guy is ready to fucking kill you and make a pizza afterwards.
Some specific word that give them up. For example, they say latte instead of mobile phone, or they say leaf
coolest dude I've ever met, man.
Leaf. Except for this, it's just usual northern Italian speak.
Anyway, regardless of the
that guy's amazing.
linguistic background, they are not French Swiss or German Swiss or Italian. They're all just Swiss. For what it's worth, though, there's so much backstory with Switzerland.
For example, the Habsburg family, which ruled the Austrian-Hungarian Empire for centuries, was from Habsburg in Aargau, Switzerland. But they lost with their knights against the Swiss peasants in the Battle of Moorgarten.
See, this is kind of the interesting contrast to the otherwise neutral, peaceful image of Switzerland.
Can we bring the
The
Italian guy
brutal
back,
fighting
please?
skill of the Swiss was so well renowned throughout Europe that it actually kind of became like their biggest export.
All the rulers in Europe got Swiss mercenaries, and in the end it might be a French king fighting an Italian army, and in the end it's Swiss fighting Swiss.
That's so weird.
And then they actually decided to stop having offensive war and
Marginano was why they became neutral. Interesting.
introduce this
Okay.
neutrality.
Nonetheless, you know,
The first Habsburg is literally playable in CK2. It's the Count of Aargau. Oh, that is actually mad interesting. Dude, that's actually really cool.
one of the reasons why Switzerland is a conscription country.
You go to military after you're 19, once for half a year, and then every year, a couple of weeks, 3 or 4. Until
That's
you're 30 or
reservism,
31.
yeah.
There's a disclaimer though, there are some exceptions. The Swiss military...
Women are exempt, huh? You guys want to talk about equality with women, huh? You want to talk about equality?
Some quotas of how many people
Come
they
on.
want. If you have some health issues, you don't have to go to the military, but you will be paying 3% of your salary to the army.
Whoa! If I can't go to the army, I have to pay
And
them?
if you have ethical reasons not to go,
Holy
you
shit.
can also fill out a form, apply to not go to the military, but you will have to take 1.5 times as much time in something called civil.
Did you pay more taxes if you don't go to the military? I don't know if that's ultra epic or ultra weird.
So at the end of the day, somehow you have to serve Switzerland.
Yeah.
I'm the
After
Swiss military right now.
service, You usually take the gun home.
Technically, Switzerland has one of the highest gun ownership populations in the
I heard
world.
that.
This all kind of plays.
I remember when all the school shootings happened in the US, a lot of people argued that Switzerland has the same or even more guns per capita than the US, but has 0 school shootings. It's like an argument that the Americans are just retarded.
Into their unique system of government. It's often said that Switzerland is in an eternal election campaign.
So we vote 3 to 4 times a year, and we also vote regional for people to get into the National Council.
So it's kind of like Switzerland focuses
Switzerland
more on
didn't let women vote
policies
until
rather than
1971.
politicians,
Holy
would you
shit.
say? A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
But it's like,
Dude, in Germany, raping your wife was still allowed till like 1991 or something. I learned that in law school.
you're very involved in everything.
If you check like
You're
laws and how
involved, and if
late
you
they
don't
changed,
like
man,
something, there
you
will
get
be a
surprised, man.
referendum.
But in Switzerland, it's relatively easy.
Yeah, some cantons have different voting systems, like voting publicly by raising hand or some weird family sort.
The head of state
I
of Switzerland
like the
actually,
political
though,
system of Switzerland, man. They often do people's vote, right? If there's a big issue, they let the people vote. The people vote, and then they do that. That's like really true democracy, man. I really like that shit.
Federal Council.
And one of them is the president, but it doesn't
Yeah, they
really
were
matter
literally
because it
bound to have
changes
sex
every
with
year,
you by
and
law.
it is
Yeah,
just
and
one
that
among equals.
got abandoned
Fun
very
fact,
late. I
Switzerland can
remember that.
actually deny citizenship to anybody who wants to apply for it. In fact, in 2010, there was one lady who was denied because her neighbors said she was annoying.
There's a lot of those stories, like somebody not knowing where the baker is in the village because she shops in a big store. No passport for you.
In regards to religion, like most countries in Europe, most of the people will at least culturally identify with Christianity.
Thank you, lucky
and in
Swede.
Switzerland, the case is mostly with Catholicism or Protestantism.
The problem is
It used
so
to be very
few
important.
people vote,
My
though.
grandma told me,
That's the problem with
her parents
democracy.
would not
Most people don't
accept
care
her
about it.
bringing
They don't go
home a
vote.
Catholic.
In Germany,
Nowadays,
60% of people vote,
we
man.
don't really care anymore.
How is
Now,
that
of course, this is
still
one
democracy, you know?
source that played a role in many of the regional differences throughout.
Sometimes there's local elections where 50% doesn't even go vote, man. That kind of undermines the whole principle of a democracy.
They also kind of have like a healthy level of regional competition. And with that, let's move on to the sports part with art.
Swiss sports. Boah, I know that Volkan Özdemir is an MMA fighter. I know him. The Swiss national team in soccer, football is not that bad. They have like Shaqiri. They have Shaqiri. And I remember they beat the Turks and the Turks got mad and beat them up. Akanji is Swiss. Oh, Akanji is Swiss, Alter. They're very good in skiing and stuff, ice hockey and shit. Roger Federer is Swiss. Oh, there you go. Shaka, yeah.
So, sports in Switzerland.
But most successful sports people from Switzerland seem to be immigrants in Switzerland. They often have like
go hand in hand. Even on
not Baltic, Balkan names
the corporate
and shit.
side. In fact, because the tax laws, many European and international sports federations hold their headquarters in
so
Switzerland.
they can do their corruption there easier.
Switzerland has some sports that they actually invented, such as Schwengen, which is played in sawdust, and the contenders wear burlap shorts. There's also Hornissen. It's a team sport. It's kind of like a mix between golf and baseball. In any case, when you live in a country with big snowy mountains, you're gonna get an emphasis on, this is, I know, a total shocker, on winter sports. Skiing and mountaineering are pretty much taught from adolescence. Switzerland also invented competitive sledding. They invented the first bobsled and bobsled track.
I never understood bob riding, man. I mean, we all know the legendary movie Cool Runnings with the Jamaican team, sure, but I never got bobsliding. I never fucking understand that, man. Like, you just drive down there and you do a little bit of this and this and you wait a bit. I never understood that shit, man. And then when you watch that in TV, right, the difference between first and third place is like 0.01 seconds. To me, that's not a real sport, man. That's
more.
I know.
Switzerland has done
Fuck that
pretty
sport.
well considering their size in both the Summer and Winter Olympics. Alpine
Probably,
skiing being their strongest
some people
event
here.
with 22 gold
Damn.
medals. On another note, auto racing was actually banned in Switzerland. They had a huge crash in 1955 that stopped it all. But the government made a
83
little
people
loophole
died.
exception
How the fuck do you have to crash that 83 people died?
for electric racing. And finally, we
Electric
cannot
racing.
end this segment without mentioning the most popular athlete. I know him, Roger Federer.
Roger
He's
Federer.
part of
That
the
guy's
Big
a fucking
Three,
legend, man.
20 Grand Slams.
The big three, it's the big two, man. That fucking Djokovic
Tom.
guy is a little
Have a
bitch,
great
man.
day.
Thank you, Rasmussen. That guy shouldn't be fucking called with the big
Singles title winner, 103 ATP singles
that guy's a
titles,
fucking legend,
two-time Olympic medalist. He has streets named after
That guy
him,
must have
coins
so
with
much
his
fucking
face.
money,
He's a
man.
model for Rolex and numerous brands. There's
he
a
must
lot
be
of babies
very
out
rich.
there named after him, for sure. I once got a trophy for potato sack racing, and it was a big deal. Like, my mom was proud of me. And I do not know how to end my segment, so...
Swiss people have shown that even though they're a small country, they still can pack a punch with a competitive side.
Djokovic is a
We
great
have
tennis
this
player,
thing
though. He's
called
also a great liar.
Controlling Where each canton really has their own rules and does their own thing.
To explain a little bit more
How do you
about
like
the
Edgewater? I
culture
haven't
and
seen
how
it.
things kind of go out in that way for Switzerland, here's Random Hannah with
She even has
The culture
shirts
of
now.
Switzerland cannot be easily summarized as a nation. That's because it breaks down to each canton having its distinct identity. There are lots of stereotypes for them, but here are some that you guys told us. Aargau is known for having bad drivers. Valais has the most incomprehensible accent, while Graubünden has the most beautiful one. Glarus doesn't exist, Zurich has a superiority complex, and Geneva is just the French version of Zurich. Appenzell is known for hippies and alternative medicine. Funny enough, Inner Appenzell didn't give women the right to vote until 1991, and the
Jesus.
country as a whole till 1971.
1991,
Switzerland
I
is
know.
known for having many interesting laws. For example, if you live in an apartment, you are not allowed to make distracting noises after 10 p.m. You're not allowed to cut your grass, hang your laundry, or do noisy chores on Sunday. The Swiss really seem to value their silence.
That's what I learned about Swiss people. What I learned in my life about Swiss people, that Swiss people are very calm and silent and...
Swiss are known for their many discoveries and inventions as well, such as cellophane and aluminum foil, Velcro, the vegetable peeler, the discovery of nucleic acid and DNA, and they were co-creators of the World Wide Web. Notable contemporary icons of Swiss culture include figures like Globy, Papa Mole, Schellen Orsley, and the most famous one,
Heidi is
worldwide,
Swiss?
Heidi. They are notable for the visual
Heidi is
arts
Swiss,
in
yeah.
every field. You can find it in everything like Basel, with its 13th century Romanesque architecture, to the early 20th century Dada movement. Even Helvetica find it in Switzerland.
It's one of the preferred fonts that we use on Geography Now.
Speaking of the arts, one way to learn about Switzerland is through its films. And if you want to learn more about Switzerland's films, films, follow my channel, Filmography Now.
Hannah has a spin-off.
In any case,
All these people have their own
each canton in
channels.
Switzerland has its own festivals and celebrations. You have everything from the
The Basler Fastnacht.
Basler Fastnacht, where people involved
Rihanna or
in
Beyoncé?
masks and blow
Beyoncé.
confetti, to Spunenfest, held every 12 years in the town of Interlaken, where men compete to throw massive boulders.
That's manly.
There's too many festivals, we can't go through them all. Partially because we have to move on, which means you know what's coming next. The Florida man himself, Keith. We need another hurricane.
Ooh. Oof. Weird timing.
You probably think of, yodeling, cowbells. That's a good start, but let's go a little further.
I don't know a single Swiss singer, man, or band.
European alpine yodeling had its roots in Switzerland dating back to the early
Yodeling is from
1500s.
Switzerland.
The
Interesting.
technique was used by herdsmen trying to call their livestock or communicating far distances between villages in the mountains. Many will say that the traditional national dance music of Switzerland, though, is Lander. It uses a 3/4 time signature. Quarter note gets every single beat, whatever. This style was actually adopted by many classical composers like Beethoven, Schubert.
DJ Bobo
they
is
kind of
Switzerland.
just,
Swiss.
took it and
True.
ran with it.
True.
Okay,
DJ
now
Bobo
let's
is
fast
Swiss,
forward
yeah.
a couple hundred years. They actually
Who the fuck is DJ
won
Antoine?
the very first Eurovision Song
Thank you,
Contest. Fun
Douglas.
fact: 30 years later, they would actually win again, but with Celine Dion.
Celine Dion? What? Was ist los?
Even though she's Canadian. And for some reason, Tina Turner is a citizen. It has nothing to do with banks and money.
Thank you, Laura.
But there are tons of music festivals like Street Parade festivals, the Montreux Jazz Festival, Athene, Steve Morse Band. I hope to go there.
I heard of
at some
Steve Morse
point.
Band before. I heard that
There's
once in
even
my
a
life.
statue of Freddie Mercury, as Queen recorded many of their top hits.
Oh, they did?
But however, what I will say is that if you like heavy metals bands, you should check out Celtic Frost, which is a great metal band. I hope you enjoyed my segment today. Stay Keith, everybody.
Thank you, Keith.
So something important about Switzerland is how they interact with the rest of the world.
Which brings us to the last segment, the
friend zone.
I mean, they're so neutral that even North Korea joined the UN before them. Although you guys did host the European...
We'll host anything with diplomacy. But
hosted?
We'll also pay for it, but we don't join. Here's how they played out their diplomacy game.
In respect to their constitution and overall global reputation, Switzerland's foreign policy is to traditionally avoid alliances and work for humanitarian efforts that strive for world peace and prosperity. This is partially why they host more international organizations than any other country in the world, most heavily concentrated in Geneva. Nonetheless, with their intense history and background, there are some countries that Switzerland has to admit they have quite a closer link to, if at the very least culturally. No one likes to make fun of Germans more than the Swiss, but in reality these two are so heavily tied in, especially with the Baden-Württemberg state that borders Switzerland. The area around the town of Rottweil was part of the old Swiss Confederacy. The town has an agreement of friendship with Switzerland. Swabian Germans and German-speaking Swiss generally understand and get each other way better than, say, a Berliner German. In that regard, Austria has
What did he say? Well, a German likes a Swiss person much more than a Berlin person. That is very true.
Traditionally been one of their biggest rivals in things like sports and outclassing each other with things like classical music, architecture, and general welfare. They both admire each other's systems of operation, and many Swiss will say that Austrians probably get them way better than the Germans. Otherwise, France pretty much has the oldest diplomatic exchange when they signed the Treaty of Perpetual Peace in 1516, and the first Swiss ambassador abroad was hosted in Paris in 1798. Today, France hosts more Swiss people in diaspora than any other country in the world at nearly 250,000, and they appreciate each other's, shall we say, bougie standards. On the other hand, Italians, mostly Lombards, have been rapidly moving into Switzerland, mostly in the Ticino canton, and are really taking advantage of that Italian-speaking official status. The Vatican City to this day still hires Swiss guards to stand at the palace, a tradition that has been going on since 1506, one of the oldest military units continuously in operation in the world. They still dress in traditional Renaissance uniforms and are actually trained in combat and small arms. It's not just for show. When it comes to their best friends, though, most Swiss will tell you, oh, we're neutral. We can't say we have a best friend.
It's awesome.
But after you get them a little tipsy and ask them one more time, they might make a Freudian slip and say, Little Liechtenstein. Switzerland and Little Liechtenstein. They are irrefutably inseparable. Liechtenstein is basically Switzerland's adorable little baby sibling about 200 years younger. They not only share currencies and speak almost the exact same German dialect, they have a customs union, open borders, and the same stance on arms armed neutrality, but Switzerland also agrees to protect them if anything happens, represent them in any international treaty negotiations or abroad if they are unable to, and even when Switzerland makes mistakes and does things like accidentally firing an artillery shell at a ski resort in 1968, or accidentally invades them because the soldiers couldn't read maps, Liechtenstein is just happy to see them and offers them drinks upon arrival.
All right, and in conclusion, Herman, take it away. You're the Swiss guy.
Switzerland is a beautiful country where it's really nice to live and enjoy a nice and peaceful life, or have a nice vacation if you bring the necessary cash.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Herman, for being in this video. It was so fun filming with you. I can't believe I flew out here to see you.
Switzerland is beautiful, but it's so expensive.